Hi, I'm Rob Toole with Cone HR Consulting, and today we're going to talk about discrimination testing for qualified plans. The first type of test we're going to talk about is for 401ks, and that is basically we want to make sure that highly compensated employees don't benefit at a higher level than lower compensated employees. A highly compensated employee, HCE, is someone who makes typically above a certain threshold, currently $150,000, and a non-highly compensated employee is someone who makes less than that. So the first test we need to look at is a coverage test. And a coverage test basically looks at who in the corporation is able to participate in the plan. Now, if everybody participates, then you're just fine. But if you exclude a certain class of employees, such as a doctor, if you're a hospital, or certain other classes of employees, then you need to do a test to make sure the HCEs and NHCEs benefit the appropriate ratio, which is 70% currently. As I said, most people pass this test, but the next two tests are called ACP and ADP test. The ADP test is the actual deferral percentage. That is, how much does each person put in the plan of their own money. The ACP test adds in the contribution match and any other employer funds. And basically what that looks at is an average of what everyone puts in the plan at that level. An HCE, let's say their average is 4%. And a non-HCE's average is 2%. If you look at the table at the bottom of this page, you'll see that if the HCEs put in 4 and the non-HCEs put in 2, then you're allowed to have the non-HCE level plus 2, so it would pass. So if you look at those three bands, which is less than 2%, 2 to 8%, and more than 8%, you can see the ratio at which, or the amount of non-highly compensated percentages are required to pass. What happens if you fail? Well, if you fail, there's two things that you can do. The first is, which is most typically done, is cut back your highly compensated employees. So let's say, for example, your highly compensated put in 5% and your non-highly compensated put in 2. Well, it needs to be at 4% to pass. So you'd have to give money back or refund money for your highly compensated folks until the average got down to 4%. Alternatively, you could make contributions for your non-highly compensated people, called a QNEC, or Qualified Non-Elective Contribution, in order to bring their percentage up to 3%, so you can get that 3 plus 2 or equal 5. So what do you do if you fail the test? Well, other than the rectifying, as we just talked about, in future years, you could do what they call an auto-enrollment, meaning that when people join your firm, if they don't do anything in terms of the 401k, they'll be auto-enrolled at a certain percentage. Let's say it's 2%. And that is an easier way to get your non-highly compensated people to participate. The other thing you could do, which is a little bit softer, is educate people on the benefits of saving at a younger age, and also make the process quite easy to do. And there's a lot of great vendors out there that can do this. In regard to the testing, each year your vendors are going to do this and report back to you as whether you pass or not. So this is not math that you have to do on your own, but it's a good idea to know what's going on. Finally, if you do fail all the time, and let's say you're in a firm that has a highly concentrated group of highly compensated people and not that many lower paid people, you could do what they call a safe harbor plan. And a safe harbor plan has certain requirements from the IRS. It basically has certain participation, vesting, which is immediate, and certain matching that you'll need to do in order to pass the test. If you do put in a safe harbor plan, you don't need to worry about the ACP or ADP testing, but you do have to follow those rules. The next thing I want to talk about is your flexible spending accounts. Those also require discrimination testing. And in the flexible spending for health, it's just making sure that, again, the concentration of highly compensated does not benefit more than the lower paid. And in the dependent care, there's a ratio of 55%. Another important thing that you don't want to miss is that if you're in a firm where partners or owners participate in these plans, you need to know that they are not allowed to. And that is because there's a risk of forfeiture if you don't use these amounts in your fund. And if you own the firm, and the money's just going to come back to you if you're an owner. So that without a risk of forfeiture, the IRS does not want you to participate. So if you have any questions on any of this, we at Kona can help you. And this is the time of year that you're going to be testing. So good luck, and we'll speak again soon.